Hello, good morning, everyone. Welcome to our English class. Always remember, pandemics should not stop education. We should continue learning amidst the pandemic. Have a great day, everyone. I will be your teacher. This is Sir Sam on Learn Online. Learn online, learning online, online learning. This is online radio. And these are some important things that you should remember when you are attending my class. First, you must have your module, or you must have your last or learning assessment sheet. Second, you should have your ball pen. Another, you must have your tablet paper. Of course, you must listen and follow the direction. You should stay on a comfortable place which is free from any distraction. And the most important thing is you should obey your guardian or your parents. You can also ask guidance from them while you are attending my class. Take note, you should always remember you should follow these guidelines when you are attending my class. So I hope you get all these guidelines. In the previous lesson, we learned about the different ways on how to ask for an information. We learned how to ask for an opinion. Now, can you give me some examples? If you can still recall, can you give me examples of these words when we are asking for information?
Sir,
Can you try?
these are the words that we can use when we're giving opinion. First, we can use as far as I am concerned. And in my opinion, or in my experience, we can also use the phrase such as, I strongly believe that, or I'd like to point out that. Sir, can I give my answer to your question? When we are going to ask opinion, we can use these words or phrases. We may use, what do you think of? Or we can use, how do you feel about? We can also use, would you like to try? Or we can also use the phrase, do you believe that? So those are some examples, sir, on how we are going to ask for an opinion, or if we want to ask for information. Thank you, sir.
And for today's lesson, this is the first thing that you are going to do. I have here some Tagalog questions. And what you are going to do is you will translate this into English questions. You will translate the Filipino questions into English questions. Let's try the first number. Here are the Filipino questions. Number 1. Pwede ba kitang dalawin? Number 2. Dadalo ka ba sa party? And number 3. Bakit mo kukunin ang pera? Number 4. Paano mo nakuha ang sagot sa mathematics? And number 5. Ano ang kinakain nila? May I know your answer now? Who can try the first one?
Sir, number 1, sir. Pwede ba kitang dalawin? Can I visit you?
Number 2, sir. Dadalo ko ba sa party? Do you attend the party?
O number 3, sir. Bakit mo kukunin ang pera? Why you will get the money?
And number 4, sir. Paano mo nakuha ang sagot sa mathematics? How you get the answer in mathematics?
For number 5, sir. Anong kinakain nila? What they eat? Thank you for the answers. Based on the answers you have given, it shows that some of you find it very difficult to construct a question. You find it difficult to translate the Filipino questions into English questions. Yes, that is true. It is really difficult to make a question if we do not know how to form it. And that's why that will be our lesson for today. You are going to learn how to form questions, how to make questions correctly. And our topic for today is forming yes-no questions and WH questions. So I hope you are going to learn a lot from this. What you are going to learn is you will learn how to construct a yes-no question and WH question correctly. You can identify and you can explain the correct form of WH and yes-no question. Number 3, you can use questions correctly in a given situation. And so these are the important things that you are going to learn as we go on discussing the lesson. Asking question is very important in acquiring knowledge and information, which are essentials in our everyday life situations. Without skills of asking questions, there would be very minimal learnings, minimal discoveries, and also minimal inventions. Let us imagine of a person who never asked any question. Let us also imagine a scientist, for example, a scientist who is not asking any question, or an inventor who is not making questions. The skills of forming questions is really important. This is an important part of a learning process. Now, can you give me examples of situations when we can ask questions? Who can give me examples?
We can use questions when we want to ask for information. Another said, when you want to buy something, we can ask questions. We usually ask questions when we want to know the solution to the problem. Another, when you want to ask help, we ask questions. Another, so when you want to know the answer in mathematics, you can ask questions. Or you want to answer in an experiment, you can ask questions. Another, so is when you want to learn something, you can ask questions. Or you want to know all about the current issues, you can also ask questions.
Yes, you are correct. We can use questions when asking for information. We could also use this when you want to buy something, or when you want to know the solution to the problem. Another is when you are asking for a help, or you want to ask question because you want to know the answer in mathematics. Or another situation is when you want to know the answer to the experiment in science. If you want to learn or if you want to know about the current issues, and when you want to learn something, you need to ask questions. So let us now find out how to make a yes-no question. How are we going to form a yes-no question? But before that, let's try to look at some examples of these yes-no questions. The yes-no questions can be used when we need confirmation. These questions are also answerable by yes or no. So let's try to read some examples of a yes-no question. You are going to read this after me. Number 1, is she listening? Number 2, are they happy today? Number 3, was the report of COVID cases accurate? Number 4, were they vaccinated? Number 5, do the patient follow the instructions? Number 6, does the patient stay calm? Number 7, did they take the medicine yesterday? And number 8, will they take another dose of vaccine? Number 9, should patients clean their hands? Number 10, can COVID patients go to the hospital? Now, what words were used at the beginning of the question?
Sir, the words used are is, are, was, were, do, does, did, will, should, and can.
Yes, you are correct. We use is, are, was, were, do, does, did, will, should, and can. These are called auxiliaries or helping verbs. If we are going to analyze, what do you think is the pattern of a yes-no question?
Sir,
If you are going
the question pattern is auxiliary, helping verb, subject, main verb, or modifier.
Yes, you are correct. The pattern is the auxiliary, first the auxiliary or the helping verb, plus the subject, then plus the main verb or the modifier. That is how to write a yes-no question. Example of this is, are they happy today? Are is an auxiliary verb. They is the subject. Happy is the modifier. So by now, how can we know which auxiliary verb or helping verb must be used in our question? These are the ways on how to determine which auxiliaries must be used. We are going to use is if the subject is singular and we are talking about the present. We use are when the subject is plural and we are talking about the present. We use was when the subject is singular and we are talking about the past. We are going to use where the subject is plural and we are talking about the past. We are going to use do if the subject is plural and we are talking about the present. And the verb that we are going to use must be a verb base or the base form of the verb. We are going to use does when the subject is singular and we are talking about the present. And the verb that must be used is a verb base. Then we are going to use did if the subject is singular or plural. If the subject is singular or plural, then we are talking about the past. And we are going to use the verb base. And what is a verb base? A verb base is a verb that does not end with s. It does not end with ing. It does not end with d or ed. This is a verb base or the base form of the verb. We are going to use will if the subject is singular or plural. And we are talking about the future. When we talk about the future, we are going to use will. And we will use can if the subject is singular or maybe plural. And also we are talking about the future. These are the uses of auxiliaries. These are the ways on how to determine which auxiliary verb must be used in our yes-no questions. I hope that is very clear so we can easily make questions, we can easily form questions by using the correct, using the appropriate auxiliary or the helping verb. Again, the auxiliary verb that must be used when we make a yes-no question must be parallel to the subject and to the tense or the time. It is parallel because we use the correct auxiliary verb based on the subject and based on the time or tense. Always remember that when we use the auxiliary verb, always remember that when we are using auxiliaries, it should be parallel to the subject and the tense or the time. Parallel because we use the correct auxiliary verb or helping verb based on the subject and based on the time and tense. Again, when should we use these auxiliary or helping verbs when asking questions? Anybody who can answer? Can you give me the answer?
Sir, we are using is when the subject is singular and we are talking about the present. We use are if the subject is plural and we are talking about the present. It should be parallel to the subject in the time. We are using where if the subject is plural and we are talking about the past. Again, it should be parallel to the subject and the time. Sir, we are using where when we are talking about the past and the subject is plural.
Very nice, very good. Now that you know the ways on how to form a yes-no question so you can easily make yes-no questions. So let's try this. This is practice task 1. We are going to try this. You will identify the correct yes-no questions. On your tablet paper, you are going to write W if it is wrong. You're going to write C if it is correct. Let's try the first one. Number 1. Are the girls dancing? Number 2. Number 2. Do my classmate recites in class? Number 3. Will she pass the test? Number 4. Did he played basketball yesterday? Did he played basketball yesterday? Number 5. Can I invite your parents? And number 6. Does your friends loves me? Now let's try to check your answer. Can you give me the answer for number 1?
In number 1, sir, the answer is correct because the subject girls, plural, and the verb dancing is present. So we use are.
For number 2,
Number 2 is wrong because my classmate is singular and recites is not a verb base. It should be, does my classmate reside in class?
great work learners. Very good answer. And for number 3, who can answer number 4? Who can answer number 5? And number 6, what is your answer? Great work, learners. Very good answer. Congratulations, learners. You are all correct. Now that you know already how to form a yes-no questions, we are going to try another activity. Let's try this. This is on practice task 2. Imagine you are in your classes in mathematics, science, AP, MAPE, TLE, and ESP. You are going to make at least 5 questions related to your lessons. So that would be very easy since you know already how to make a yes-no question. In short, knowing how to make a question is very important. We can use it every day. We can use it in any situations. And in all subjects, mathematics, science, English, AP, TLE, all of these subjects, we can use questions. If we want to learn, we can make questions. We can form questions. So these questions are very important on all aspects of our life. These are important in our everyday life. We can use questions all the time. We want information. If we want to learn, we can ask questions. So by this time, I am inviting you to please stand. We are going to sing this song. And what are those WH questions mentioned in the song?
Sir, the 5 W's, we have what, when, where, why, who, and how.
Yes, you are correct. We have what, we have when, we have where, we have why, we have who, and we have how. These are the 5 W's and 1 H questions. So what we are going to do now is we are going to find out how to form a WH questions. Here are the examples of WH questions. Number 1, what are they talking about? Number 2, where are they talking about the vaccine? Number 3, when are they talking about the vaccine? Next, why are they talking about the vaccine? Who are they talking about the vaccine? How are they talking about the vaccine? Some more examples. What is she listening? Where are they happy? When were they vaccinated? Why did they take the medicine? Who will follow the instruction? How can COVID patients go to the hospital? Now, based on the examples, how do we form the WH questions?
Sir, the WH question is formed by writing the WH question word plus the auxiliary verb plus the subject plus the main verb or the modifier. And the example, sir, is like this. What? The question word, then is the helping verb, she is the subject, then listening is the main verb. What is she listening?
Yes, you are correct. We can form the WH question by writing this pattern. WH question word plus the auxiliary or helping verb plus the subject plus the main verb or modifier. Example of this. What is she listening? The word what is the question word. The auxiliary or the helping verb is. The subject is she. And the main verb is listening. What is she listening? In other words, or in short, one way on how to form a WH question is by adding the question word to the yes-no question. Well, let's try another example. Where are they happy? Where is the question word. Are is the helping verb. They is the subject. Happy is the modifier. Another. When were they vaccinated? When is the question word. Where is the helping verb. They is the subject. Vaccinated is the main verb. Another example. Why did they take the medicine? Why did it take the medicine? Why is the question word. Did is the auxiliary verb. They is the subject. Take is the main verb. Another. Who will follow the instruction? Who is the question word. Will is the auxiliary verb. Follow is the main verb. Another example. How can COVID patients go to hospital? How is the question word. Can is the auxiliary verb. COVID patients is the subject and go is the main verb. So these are the ways on how to form a WH questions. I hope you know now the ways on how to form the WH question. It's so easy. So we can easily make questions, WH questions, and yes-no questions. Since you know already how to form the WH questions, what we are going to do now is you are going to answer this practice task number 3. Let's try this. Is you will identify the correct WH questions. Write W if it is wrong. Write C if it is correct. Let's try. Why did she cry? Number 2. How we can stop the spread of COVID-19? How we can stop the spread of COVID-19? Number 3. Where are they preparing the isolation facilities? Where are they preparing the isolation facilities? Number 4. How the government help the COVID positive? And for number 5. Number 5. When will they start to fight against fake news? Let's try to answer.
Sir,
Yes, can you answer?
number 1, why did she cry? This is wrong, sir, because of the word cry. It should be verb base. It should be cry only. Because we use did, an auxiliary did, so we are going to use the verb base, which is cry. So it should be, why did she cry? It should not be, why did she cry? So this, number 1, is wrong. Sir, in number 2, this question is wrong. How we can stop the spread of COVID-19? It should be, how can we stop the spread of COVID-19? The pattern should be, how plus auxiliary plus the subject, then plus the verb. But in this example, it was interchanged. How we can stop? It should be, how can we stop?
So easy to make WH question. Now this is what you are going to do for the practice task 4. Since you know already how to make WH questions, you will write 5 questions related to your subjects about your lessons in different subjects. Congratulations! So easy to make WH question and the yes-no questions. Let's go back to the first activity. Now let's go back to the first activity. You will translate those Filipino questions into English questions. Now, let's try to translate it again and hope you can get it perfectly. Number 1, pwede ba kitang dalawin? Number 2, dadalo ka ba sa party? Number 3, bakit mo kukunin ang pera? And number 4, paano mo nakuha ang sagot sa mathematics? Number 5, anong kinakain nila? Great work! You got perfect answer. In general, how can we form a yes-no questions and the WH questions?
Sir, I will answer. We can form a yes-no question by using the auxiliary verb or the helping verb at the beginning of the sentence. We should also follow the pattern when writing the yes-no question. The pattern, first, the auxiliary verb, followed by the subject, the next, the main verb, or the modifier. We can also use the different auxiliaries. Example of this auxiliary cell, we have is, we have are, we have was, we have were, we have do, we have does, we have did, and we can also use will or can and shall. Sir, additional answer. We can form the WH question by question words. Question words such as what, where, when, why, who, and how. And we should also follow the pattern when making WH question. The pattern, we have to write first the question words, and after that, the auxiliary verb or the helping verb.
Then after the helping verb, we're going to use the subject. Then after the subject, we will write the main verb or the modifier. So that's how to form the WH question. We should follow the pattern and we should use the question words. Sir, another answer, another way on how to form a WH question, we will just add the question words like what, when, where, who, why at the beginning of the yes-no question. Suppose we have prepared already a yes-no question, we will just add the question words. So it's so easy to make the WH questions.
You are correct. We can form the yes-no questions by using auxiliary helping verbs at the beginning of the sentence by following the pattern auxiliary verb plus the subject plus main verb or modifier. The WH questions can be formed by using the question words such as what, when, where, why, who, and how. WH questions pattern. We can write WH question first or the question words followed by the auxiliary verbs plus the subject plus the main verb or the modifier. WH question words can just be added to yes-no questions. So easy to make the yes-no questions and the WH questions. And now, this is your final moment. We are going to have our assessment. You are going to identify the correct form of questions. You will write correct if it is correct. You are going to write wrong if this is wrong. Number 1 is this. Are the frontliners doing the responsibilities? Number 2, how do they help our countrymen? 3, why does a politician help the Filipino people? 4, why there is pandemic? 5, how did you help to stop COVID-19? 6, where the old ones should stay during pandemic? 7, how United States can help our country? 8, should everyone follow the health protocols? Number 9, does this pandemic mark the beginning of the end of the world? Does this pandemic mark the beginning of the end of the world? And number 10, did you did your part to stop the virus? And for your assignment, for assessment letter B, this is what you are going to do. Prepare this with your family members or relatives at home. You are going to record a video when you are asking questions about the following situations. You are going to select only one situation. Situation letter A, you are a TV reporter. You are conducting an interview. Letter B, situation letter B, you are a TV talk show host conducting an interview. For situation letter C, this is what you will do. You are a teacher and you are asking questions to your students inside the classroom. And for letter D, situation letter D, you are a business employer and you are conducting an interview
to a job applicant. This assessment letter B is for your performance. These are the basis for your rating. In your performance, you should have correct form of questions. You should have correct form of questions. And you are going to get 10 if you have all correct questions. If you have 1 to 2 errors, you are going to get 8 points. When you have 3 to 4 errors, your rating will be 6. And when you have 5 or more errors, you'll receive 4. Another, presentation. You should have a good presentation. The presentation should be appropriate to the situation. And if you have that, you are going to get 10. 8, if not so related to the situation, you will get 6. And you are going to get 6 points if very few are related to the situation. And 4, if the situation is not so evident. Another is for the delivery. In your delivery, you should have a correct pronunciation and correct intonation, and you are going to get 10. You will receive 8 if you have minimal error in pronunciation and intonation, and 6 if you have few errors, and 4 if you have many errors in pronunciation and intonation. These are the basis, the rating that you are going to get for this performance. And that's all for today. I hope you learned a lot. And you can now participate in all class discussions in different subjects. And aside from that, you can now initiate discussion. And based from that discussion, you can get a lot of information. Again, always remember, pandemic should not stop education. We should continue learning amidst the pandemic. Have a great day, everyone. This is Sir Sam on Learn Online.
The pollution got away. Catherine's alone, not acting afraid. Never get a white Christmas, but today